Let's head a little bit north now because a small lake in our own backyard is sharing its story to new and larger audiences. The research completed by scientists over the last 50+ years at Crawford Lake is the center of attention, that is, in a new exhibition at the Royal Ontario Museum. The story that research tells, however, dates back much further, over 700 years further. It's already garnering substantial attention with more than 3,000 visitors on its first weekend.
Spin the wheel and take a trip back in time to understand what stories the many layers of sediments at the bottom of Crawford Lake have to share. This interactive part of the exhibition tells a story that goes back to the late 1200s and progresses through to the 2000s. It's based on research conducted by many at the Royal Ontario Museum since the 1970s, when the curator of botany at the time developed an interest in studying the lake because of the layers of sediment which were preserved due to the lake being meromictic, meaning the contents on the bottom don't mix with the water in the rest of the lake.
I would say the meromixis is a precondition. So the fact that it's varved is why Jock McAndrews went there in the first place, so he could actually just have a student look and count back to which year, almost like tree rings, seeing, if he wanted to see pollen records from the 1850s and how they were different from 1900, his student yearbook could very easily do that. So there was that perfect preservation of the really nice preservation environment that was associated with the lack of mixing in the lake.
More recent research at Crawford Lake occurred over several winters and involved lowering a freeze core into the bottom. Packed with dry ice, the sediment froze to the metal spike, preserving individual layers. The samples were taken back to the ROM and studied by many scientists for different reasons, mentioned Brothers. He likened each study to a single piece of a larger puzzle. When they're all put together, the story that puzzle tells is one of human impact on our planet.
And I think that's, I would argue, a major part of why it was selected as the candidate golden spike of the proposed Anthropocene epoch, is that this was a place where we had 55 years of many scientists looking at it from different angles that could really tell a comprehensive, kind of rounded out story in a lot of ways about how humans and the natural world interact.
The displays in this exhibition share information about, Brothers says, the most engaging stories. The aim is to start a conversation about Crawford Lake and the research, not to try and share a complete story. He's also hopeful that visitors will not regard this information solely as bad news about the impact humans have had on Earth.
I think a lot of people, especially when it was announced as the Anthropocene golden spike, there was this kind of assumption that, it must show how we've destroyed the planet. And the lake tells much more of a nuanced story than that. So I think it's interesting to be able to, through an exhibition, give an evidence-based sort of environmental record of saying, look, not that we're in a great situation, definitely when you think about the climate crisis, but we have a history of being able to solve environmental problems. And let's look at that and let's build on that.
At Crawford Lake Conservation Area, amongst the rebuilt longhouses, which were a result of the discovery of corn pollen and the realization that indigenous communities called this land home centuries ago, there's a momentum building because of the ROM's exhibition and the conservation area's recognition as the golden spike.
The opportunity to try to take the message the lake is sharing and share that with the public in a way that they can understand is hugely exciting and I think really important in terms of where we find ourselves globally with regards to climate change and biodiversity loss. So we're working with our partners to develop new signage to go all the way around the lake that helps illustrate that relationship with nature that we can learn from First Nations around, but also to help people understand what the lake really tells us over time from the research that's been done on the sediments.
The Crawford Lake story will be displayed at the Royal Ontario Museum until mid-September 2026. Then it is hoped the display will travel Canada and the world. Jason Trout for Halton News at the ROM.